we are in the best of the times, this country. Just imagine if you born somewhere here and there in and around us, right? What would have happened to us? At least we are thinking about making our careers, right? So even like Pakistan, Afghanistan, look at what's happening in the neighboring countries, right? So it's very, very important for us to believe that and have this privilege of being born in. So he said that, and he when the moment he was releasing this report in October, late October, right? So on the previous night, his daughter asked him that, why are you so tensed? So he said that, no, I am about to release a report about India's golden ticket. So his daughter asked him what's so special about it. So he said that, in one line, if I can describe that, by the time I will die, you will be living in world's richest country, right? So, and the reason in, I think that summarizes what's happening in the economy. We are contributing 18% to global growth rates. We are the fastest growing economy from last 3 years. This year, in fact, what's happening in the world everywhere, we are hearing a lot of slowdown, but India will still clock 7.8 to 7.7% growth rate, right? So there are like 3 to 4 fundamental things which are happening in an Indian economy. And I think it is very important for us to understand, and I'm sure you will, after this discussion, you'll understand why I was talking so much about it, right? He said there is something very, very important for us to, if you want to build a career, the first and important place is the place I get born with. Second important factor in your career is that first company I choose in the industry I choose, right? So in India, in last 10 years, like from we were a 1 trillion economy, today we are a 3 trillion economy, the fifth largest economy, and some of the agencies are saying that will be the number world economy by 2052. I think CLSA came a report around a week back. So so it's very, very exciting phase. I think biggest exciting phase for us is all of you, right? So we are a young country today, the youngest country in the world with a 28 years of median age. And what it means is this makes us the biggest, as of now, we're the third biggest consumer market in the world, right? Because of the young age of population. And if you, I'm sure if you go in economics, right, the country's growth is always related to young population. So young population into productivity, like workforce, which is entering into the work, the number of people who are entering the workforce into productivity is like economic productivity of the country, right? So I think I spoke about Goldilocks scenario. This is one of the very, very important factor, right? So we are the youngest country, and being the youngest country, we are the highest consuming class in the world. The highest consuming class in the world means that just go around you, right? So I was last week, I went and watched Sam Bahadur, right? So afternoon when I watched the movie, we thought like, let's have a lunch together with my family. You won't believe I was not able to get a place, right? So I just have to wait for in the food court. There are like 200 people, but every seat was filled. This is an example of, if you see around us, what's happening. Like consumption is, and that's why, in spite of having globally there's a turmoil, India is still doing well because of the consumption economy, because of all of us are consuming things around us, right? It contributes 58% to our India GDP. And this is actually churning out a lot of emerging industries. When I was looking for a job in our days, only there were tech or BFSI, right? Tech was coming up and there was BFSI. But now if you look at, there are a lot of industries which has come up because of the huge consumption economy, right? 58 to 60% of GDP comes from consumption. Just if you, some of you, if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy your favorite car, you have a 6 months waiting, right? So I think this is actually a very, very important factor: young age population and the earning income. uh, our per capita income has moved 100% in last 10 years. We were at $2,200 per capita income, and now we are at close to $6,000. Like 4,800 will be close to $6,500 in next 5 years. This again will give us a lot of buying power, right? So this is again a very, very important factor, which is actually leading to the biggest consuming class because of the high purchasing power that we have, right? And which in turn is leading to a lot of industries today. For example, travel and tourism. There was nothing about travel and tourism 10 years back, right? But now if you ask anyone, travel is one of the biggest priorities for young generation, right? They want to travel first and then do save later, right? In our days, we used to save first and then travel later. So, but again, like the positive aspect is travel and tourism is today booming, right? Real estate and construction, again, if you want to buy a house and if you want to buy your favorite house, you will not have an inventory, right? So if you want to buy a house in your favorite area, again, you will not have an inventory. So these are the signs of, emerging, like consumption-based economy, which is kind of helping us to shed away from the global turmoil, right? In spite of there are challenges in the global economy, which is like which will possibly have a recession this year, a soft recession. But India, in spite of that, is growing a lot, right? So I think these are certain points which I had in mind. This is my favorite topic. I can speak for hours and hours together on this, right? But to be very concise, I think there are a lot of emerging sectors that you can look forward for, which has actually come up in last few years, like travel, tourism, real estate, and construction, BFSI. BFSI and IT ends up hiring 70% of talent, right? Especially the white collar talent. But beyond that white collar, 70%, which used to be 90% earlier, 30% of talent is being consumed by these newer and emerging industries, like the startup community, which we are the one of the world's biggest, most vibrant startup community today, right? Bangalore and Hyderabad are the third and fourth most funded place in the world today. After New York and London, these are Bangalore and Hyderabad comes third and fourth. So that's a sign of what global investors have the confidence in India, right? So you guys are in the best spot for sure. There are a lot of opportunities which are there in your way comparable to 10 years or 15 years back.
I think that's a very, a good environment scanning that you have given to the youngsters. What is happening in India and the advantages that the country has and the youth have today. I've been talking to a lot of UG and PG students, both in management and other schools. One topic which probably because of the kind of reading and the bombardment of data that they have today is the emergence of technology and its impact in the emerging sectors and the traditional sectors, right? So if we take the example of a typical management student, so we have MBAs with us today. Now, they are being trained on all the management principles, the strategies, and everything. However, the world outside, the impact of technology, whether it is the softwares, whether it is AI, generative AI, is impacting the industries in a very big way. How do you perceive that from the kaleidoscope of the youngsters today?
Yeah, so I think see every technological revolution, right? We are talking about the fourth one, which is in terms of generative AI and AI, right? But if you look at every technological revolution, it has helped us to create more well-paying jobs, right? If you go 20 years back, 25 years back, there was a lot of agitation about India adopting technology, India adopting software, right? And people thought that it will kill a lot of jobs. But what it has done is it has enabled a lot of well-paying, high-paying jobs for sure, right? So if you look at and the numbers I gave you on per capita income, right? So today, technology is an enabler. Human being and technology is the combination is a very potent combination, right? Technology cannot run on its own. Even in generative AI, you need someone to give the prompt to generative AI to give you the right answer, right? So in my view, I think that will help us to be more productive. And technology has always helped us to for a human being to be more productive, right? So especially in the tech space, which is most of us are working in, I am the part of the tech space. All these technologies has helped us to unleash more productivity, increase the ROI on investment, so that we are actually able to save that money and invest into the newer areas, right? And which is help us to create more jobs. So in my view, technology is for sure an enabler. It is always a job creator. It can never be a job destroyer, right? And there are a lot of data to prove it. Just for example, the number of people who are employed in tech sector is 50 lakhs today on an average, 50 to 60 lakhs, right? If you look at top 15 IT services companies of India. Now the 60 lakhs people contribute, it's a $300 billion export industry today, right? So 0.8% of people create 8% of GDP, which is very, very high, right? So, and the reason is because of tech. And another interesting aspect for all of you is especially the India's prowess in tech. I'm sure you all have heard about Jan Dhan accounts, right? So India created the largest financial inclusion in the history of the world by opening 440 million accounts in 4 years' time. And the reason was tech. So India has taken a huge leap on digital public goods, which is the combination of Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and mobile, which is we call it JAM, right? And it is also enabled to the emergence of the very vibrant fintech ecosystem in India. And the reason is before 10 years back, before Aadhaar was there, Aadhaar mobile, and this combination was there, to open an account, it used to cost a bank 1,000 rupees, like 990 rupees to be accurate. When this technology want to open account in stock markets are faceless, KYC done faceless. This cost has come down to today 80 rupees, right? And so this is the power of technology, right? So technology, and look at what it has done. It has been able to create a very vibrant fintech ecosystem. After SaaS is the most vibrant ecosystem in India, creating close to 2.5 lakh jobs every year, and it is going to be very big, be very very big, because we are hardly, like, we have a huge potential in terms of financial inclusion. So technology for me is always an enabler. It can never be a destroyer. For example, we have the best technology in the world, right? But today also, in spite of that, we look for people who can come and help us to solve problems at scale, right? We always look forward for talent who can help us to execute our plans well. Technology is a medium. It can never actually replace the curiosity and the problem solving capabilities of a human mindset, what human can bring the value on the table, right? So don't give too much of news, too much of, I know it's important for us to be adopting it, embracing it, rather than being fearful about it, right? For sure, it will help you to be more productive. I think that's my view, personally.
In fact, I quite agree to it. See, till a few months back, we were talking about, hearing a lot about Industry 4.0, right? And now we are hearing about Industry 5.0, which says the strategies of the human and the machines coexisting. So rather than living with the fear of the machines taking over, what are the strategies and the skill sets that you require for a future coexistence? So, yes, I quite agree. Just a small message to the crowd, to all the students, that if you have questions, which I see a couple of them coming in, you can write it in the chat box. We'll try to take as many questions in the last 10-15 minutes. Okay, type it in. And another request is, what I see on the screen is all the black boxes with the names. It's really motivating and encouraging when we can see you. So I would not force it, but if you wish to put on your camera with your microphones muted, that will really be looking great. And in the end, we'll be taking a selfie as well. So it looks good when you see students listening to you, right? So some of you, if you can put on your camera, that will really be great. All right, I can see some of them. All right, coming back to the discussion, right? Uh, Getting a little shifting towards, the gear towards the skill sets. Now, Satish, we have all heard this saying from, from the childhood, jack of all trades, master of none, right? Do you think this line should undergo a little bit of change now? Uh, I'm saying this from the perspective of the jobs that are being created, where the territorial lines of specialization is gradually, diluting in a sense. For management students, how do you see their skill sets? Like, do they need to be master of many things, master of one thing, or a little bit of many things, keeping the future in mind?
Yeah, so it's very difficult to comment what is going to happen in next 2 years or 3 years, right? Uh, so I think my first advice to everyone is, and I can tell you with utmost honesty that whatever you are thinking about your career, 5 years down the line, you'll be doing something completely different than what you have been thinking about yourself, right? So, however hard you try, right, so one is obviously, you need to identify your niche area, what's your strength, right, and identifying and working on a strength, and actually leveraging that strength. And we all know the work, the formula of compounding, right? But I'm also, for example, when I was studying, I never had an idea what I will do in future, right? So I was just looking at that I want to pass with good marks. I was very very keen on marketing, right? But today I ended up in sales, right? And being in the part of sales, and I started liking sales. So if I was studying, if someone would ask me that, would you want to build a career in sales? I would have said, no, I don't like to sell, right? Who wants to sell in this world? Because no one wants to sell in the world, right? But sales is a life-saving skill, right? So why I'm saying is there are certain basic attributes that you need to have. So one is there would be very, very smart blocks, and like in this entire group would be very, very clear that, okay, I want to develop, I want to go into this area of the work, I want to develop my specialization here. So all the best to all of them, right? But there would be again a certain percentage of crowd in this group, right, who would not be very sure of. So my advice to all of them, because I was part of that group, right, that don't be worry about what is going to happen. If you are not being able to identify what your strength area, you will be able to do it in future for sure, because it does take 2 to 3 years time for you to discover your strength once you start working in the corporate world, right? So there are I think there are basic attributes what we need to have, and especially in, there is so much of density which is happening in the world, is you have to be curious about what's happening around you, right? You need to embrace things which are happening. For example, if there is any change, right, don't say no to change. I recently posted about, and there is very interesting concept, especially, which is called surface area of luck, right? And surface area of luck, most of us keep on saying when we see people around us that, okay, this person is lucky, that person is lucky. This person identified so much of, he was so clear, right? But in my view, it's very, very difficult to do that, right? What we can do actually is to increase the surface area of luck. Surface area of luck can, by definition, it is actually identifying a strength, right, and executing it well. Now, once you, I know we keep on hearing this cliche line, be there at the right place, right time, be there at the right place, right time, right? So, okay, if I plan something well, it is going to be there. I think most important for all of us is to increase our surface area of luck, and that can only be happen that, okay, once I, one is like very linear path, identify my strength, work on it, right? Go very deeper into it, identify moat, right? What's my moat? I'm sure people who invest in finance, they know about moat, right? But second aspect, which is when people are unclear, and 70% of cloud is unclear, right? For them is, when whatever coming your way, do it well, right? Be curious about things happening around you. Never say no to things which are complex in nature, which are hard in nature, right? Because more harder it is, more reward for you, right? And once you come out of your college, be ready to actually embrace anything and everything comes your way, right? Because there would be a lot of ups and downs. Your journey will never be linear, it will be never be smoother, right? So what you need is that kind of mindset to solve things, right? And possibly getting up whenever you are getting failed, right? So multi-dimensional skill is really important, but it's also important to know that what you are getting into it actually, so if you're clear, develop there. A doctor, no one can be doctor engineer today, right? But if I'm a doctor, I can be psychologist, right? If I'm an engineer, I can possibly learn CAD and CAD, right? So you need to then look at allied industries, allied skill sets which are there with their core skill, right? But you have to be their core. For example, my brand today is a core sales guy, right? But I never, as I said, I was never, in 20 years back, I never had this interest to build my career in sales. But when I got into it, I started liking it and I built my career around it, right? So I think but one thing which was most of us that we had is we never had an option to go back, right? If you have that mindset that, I have to do it well for myself, I think most of the things will be clear, right? So at the end of the day, I think all of us have this capability to do well. So not get too much of lost in, the information around us, right? Which is possibly sometimes is quite negative, that, okay, if you're not focused, you are gone, right? I can say that if you're not focused, it's good at least, but you should know what you don't want to do, right? So I think that is, it's also important for you to know what you don't want to do rather than what you want to do, right? Because that will help you to uncheck the boxes, right? So then you can identify one box and go deeper into it and develop your niche skill as and when you spend more time into it.
To hear that, Satish. Allow me to be a little personal,
Yeah.
of course, keeping in lines with the topic only. So I'll be quoting something you said, and I quote, I am an internal optimist and believe that everything happens around us for the right reasons, and we should always look for opportunities in every crisis. Hope is the strategy. Hope is the biggest virtue that anyone can have, which helps to tide over any crisis and shows the way. Unquote. Would you elaborate on this a little more? Because I think beyond the philosophical intention, this internalizes a lot of strength, motivation, and reality in the current VUCA world that we live in. How would you, unleash this for the students?
Yeah, so I think when since we are studying since childhood, right? There is a lot of this environment around us that, and we keep hearing the word talented, intelligent. You know, this guy is very intelligent. He scored like 90%. Or no, this guy is very talented. That's the reason he's doing well, right? I'm sure this guy's future is bright by scoring very well, right? So kudos to, I am not trying to say that intelligence or talent doesn't have any direct correlation with the success that individual gets. But in my view, and I think most important skill set any human being carries the mindset, right? The mindset to not accept defeat, the mindset to come back strongly uh, whenever you are down, the mindset to possibly challenge the status quo and say that, all of us, like, Saurav Ganguly, right? He always used to say that very important thing, right? So talent is overrated, application of talent is underrated, right? And we have a classic example in most of us are cricket fans, like Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kambli, right? They started all together. People used to say that Vinod Kambli is more talented. He scored more runs than Sachin in that, like, the partnership in the school games, right? But look at where Sachin. And I always wanted, and I'm sure optimism is one of the greatest virtue a human being can have. Unless, right, you will not be so go away from sometimes, like, when like something challenging happens to me, we start complaining that why it has been chosen, why my path is not as great as someone else's path, right? In my view, I think you can create your own path by applying your talent, by working harder, right? I think no one can escape. You can never be successful if you don't work hard, and work hard increase your surface area of luck, right? So big project, very complex project which has been given to you, or a complex assignment, if you're not positive about solving it, right, you will never be able to get success. So what you visualize, actually it happens, right? It manifests into it. So I think one favor can all of us can do on ourselves is, never be negative about things around you. If it is happening, if it is happening for the right reason, and I have so many examples, right, to possibly quote here. And why I said that optimism is related to resilience, and I think that's a major quality any human being can develop on itself. So there is a study, right? You guys know about Will Smith, a very famous actor, right, in US, the In Pursuit of Happiness, like one of my favorite movies, right? So he said very important quote, and this quote is related to one of the studies which is done by Harvard, which is on resilience. Why I'm saying that resilience is ability to show up when you are down, ability to, it will help you to develop your value system, because values, irrespective of whatever technology comes in your way, if your value system, work ethics is stronger, I think you'll be able to sail through it, everything and anything which comes your way. All right. So this guy said that there is a test called treadmill test, right? You can actually Google about it. So treadmill test actually test the endurance of any human being. So in Harvard in 1940, this was one of the longest studies which has been done on the topic of resilience, right? So the Harvard chose around 40 students, right, as a subject, and they created this treadmill test. So treadmill test was something like this. It was a 5 minute, very inclined walk, right? And the way they designed, it's very difficult to complete the 5 minute. So most, and then they asked the students to walk on the treadmill. 50% of students couldn't cross 1 minute. Only 30% of students could cross like 3 minutes, right? I think that was, and these 30% of students, which were around 14 or 15 of them, they passed, and they were actually the part of that study, right? Every 3 years, the study continued. It went on them. It asked them like what they are doing in their professional, personal lives. These 15 students actually had a very successful career, very successful personal life. But these were not the most intelligent ones. These were the most hardworking ones. These were the ones who had a lot of resilience and endurance, right? So Will Smith said to someone, he asked me, right, because his background was, he came from a very famine background, right? So Someone asked him that what is your reason for success. He said, no one can beat me in terms of hard work, right? So if, and for example, he said, if you walk on a treadmill with me, right, there are two things will happen: either you will accept a defeat or I'll die, right? So why I'm saying this is very, very important for all of you. Your life will be very, very different than what you are thinking today. If you have to be very, very successful, all right, and so one is you need to apply yourself well, increase your surface area of luck by applying yourself very, very well, right? Given an opportunity, what is opportunity which has been given to you? Are you giving the best in your opportunity? Most of the times we have this habit of, this person has this person got a job in this opportunity, right? My personal belief is, and I said again related to optimism, job is what I get, role is what I make out of it, right? So it's in my hand. How can I make my role bigger and bigger? It's in your hand when you are there in your first job, how you're able to kill it and outshine everyone by applying yourself well. I think that will decide your journey. If you guys follow NFL, right, there is this very, 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 very famous. It's like a Sachin of cricket. His name is Tom Brady, right? He's one of the best quarterbacks in the history of NFL. If you hear his story, right, again, very, very related to application of talent and resilience and the mindset, right? So he's one of the most successful, most decorated, highly paid, most paid player of NFL. So when he started his journey way back, right? So if you understand, my son plays American football last like 6 months, so I know a bit about, and that's where I got to read about it because he was telling me about Tom Brady, and I actually googled about him and read about him, and then his story actually inspired me a lot. So when Tom Brady started his career, he had just two people to support. If you look at in your chances of success are there in American football when you have more people to support it, because he was the quarterback. His job was to make others successful, right? His forward successful. So when he started his career, for initial 6 months, he just had two people to support. He was really struggling, right? So he went to his coach and said that, coach, I want to leave the team. So he said, coach asked why. So he said, I just have two people to support, and I think I'm not able to do well because of this reason. And look at other quarterbacks, right? They have like 4 or 5 people to support. So his coach said, what is that you're doing with those two people? Are you able to give your best shot with those two people? Tell me this. And then he referred to him, the sports psychologist of the team, right? Sports psychologist asked him the same thing. Are you able to make these two people successful or not? He said no. And that's where his journey, upward journey started. He started running faster. He started showing that he started to create plans that how can I make these two people whom I support successful. And he never looked back, right? So why I'm saying this is, whatever is given to you, you can, if assuming your first job, right, first opportunity, the success is there in your hand if you apply yourself well, rather than keep thinking about the peer pressure. Again, very, very, I think a lot of us face this, and there's a very, very common scenario what I hear and what I see from especially people who have freshers and 1 year, 2 year, 3 year experience. They actually directly connect the success with the comp they earn. All right. I think comp is excellence. They've actually gone a long, long way in their life, because career is a marathon. You have to work for 20, 30 years, right? Some people say that, no, I'm getting 30. I spoke to, I play badminton in the evening, right? So there was this guy, young fresher, 1 year experience. I told him, what is that you're doing there? He said he's giving interviews. So I spoke to me a month back. He said, what happened? He said, I got two offers. One is 70% of hike, one is 40% hike. I said, which you are choosing? He said 70% hike. I said, why? So he didn't have very convincing answer. So see, never go in this whole trap of increasing the comp or a package, right? Package and all will come your way. A company will come and knock your houses and tell that, okay, tell me, boss, what do you need? We want to work with you. So if you make yourself like that, if you apply yourself well, if you kill in your first job, if you give your best shot, I think these things are a byproduct, right? So as I said, I think human mind is capable of doing anything and everything, right? Being coming from a very small town in Rajasthan, wherein there was hardly, I have never studied spoken English also before 12th standard, right? If I can reach you guys too can do, kill the world, right? So that's my advice to you. Apply yourself, have very strong mindset, do well when whatever opportunity is getting to you. Be the best, right? Try to be the best in the group. Work harder. I think things will fall in your place for you. So uh, I think that's my advice, and which is I still believe in. I'm the most, I would say, when I got into LinkedIn the first day, I was very scared, right? And but I always have this feeling today that I'm the least intelligent guy in this entire group. I have to work more harder to make my mark, right? I think that feeling I have, and I have still today. I have a large team of 100 people, manage like 7 8 countries today. But in spite of that, to be very honest, I have this feeling that I am kind of lucky here. I need to keep increasing my surface area of luck by working more harder. Very, very simple. I don't, I have to work hard to earn my place today and maintain my place. Right. So we think that feeling of humbleness is very, very critical for all of us. And the only thing which can help us is like being optimistic about your own capabilities, your own mindset.
I think the most important word I would pick up, Satish, is, the humbleness. And I think you stand as a great example. And as I was just going to say that, uh, with the background that you spoke about and your current position in a company like LinkedIn, and when I speak to you, when I write to you, I don't see the aura of a supreme director. I speak to a very humble leader who is very down to earth and very deeply rooted. And I think that's an example which should set forth. Forget the dollars or the rupees or the CTC. It is what the value that you bring on the table. And the dealing with crisis, it reminds me of a certain gentleman I revere a lot, Lord Sri Ramakrishna. He used a word that हमारे जीवन में हम बहुत अक्सर हम यूज करते हैं एक वर्ड गोलमाल. यहाँ पे गोलमाल है, उधर गोलमाल है. And if you see a problem, a hurdle, we tend to stay away from it, right? कि गोलमाल में हमको पढ़ना नहीं है. But if you look at the word golmal, the goal means there's trouble, but there's always the word mal in it, right? So every
Yeah.
crisis, every golmal has an opportunity. And I really appreciate that, encouraging the youngsters that never stay away from challenges or problems. It would always give you an opportunity to find something worthy. Uh, Satish, one thing I, would like you to, talk about your experience and the way the youngsters look at it. The word sales, okay. When the campus recruitment starts, or even when you in a non-sales job, as in a sales and marketing, what I have felt throughout my career is there is hardly any job where you don't sell. You sell every time, you sell every minute to your boss, to your people back home, to your clients, everywhere. And the other side, I'm so sorry, I got locked out. Am I audible?
Yeah, you. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, I got locked out. Yeah. So, uh, the concept of sales goes hand in hand with communication. It is not English, it is not accent, but how are you able to communicate what you want to tell the others? And the word sales poses a lot of fear in youngsters. Sir, मुझे sales नहीं करना है. Sir, मुझे बेचना नहीं है. But I think the concept of sales does not leave you throughout your life, no matter what kind of profession, what kind of role you pick up. What do you think of it?
Yeah, so it's a life-saving skill, right? Again, whatever you do in your life, you have to sell. Even if you're in an operations role, if you're in a back-end role, if you're in a so there is obviously a customer-facing role, right? A sales, right? But even if you're in a back-end role, you got to sell, right? So you can never escape from sales for sure. So it's a for me, it's a life-saving skill. If you're a sales guy, you can survive in any situation, any circumstances, right? So along with that, I would also encourage all of you to possibly learn the art of storytelling because people don't remember data, people remember stories. So sales and storytelling goes hand in hand, right? So it's a very, very important skill set which all of us can acquire and actually work on. I still, try my level best to work on stories, right? Because people don't remember anything; they just remember stories, and everyone is a story, right? I am a story of myself. You guys are a story of your, and we are the hero of the movie, right? So so it's very, very important for you to possibly look at these interesting these areas as embrace sales, right? Sales is uh, I would say it's it will develop the grit and resilience in you when you run against plan and run against quota. you can never escape quota. In even if you're a tech professional, even if you're a software guy, you have a quota to do it, you have a target to do it, right? So target word, it will always be there in your life once you begin your corporate journey, right? So um, for me, I think I was never good at sales initially, but till later on, I started discovering it and started when you love talking to people, you start liking sales. Sales is all about, having a conversation, having an effective conversation, identifying a problem and solving it, right? So if you are able to identify a problem, I think you will do well in any of the roles, right? And if you're able to communicate well to the customer, just follow Dale Carnegie, right? So how to win and influence and influence people is the Bible, right? He says, uh, and I would recommend all of you to read that. That's a starting point of your career. Do read that book. That's an amazing, amazing book. Again, it speaks a volume about the importance of sales as well as storytelling, right? So these are the critical life skills, I believe, which will have not must have skills you should have.
All right. So we have some questions
You're
coming
on
in the
mute.
chat box and some in the WhatsApp group. So I'll take a couple of them. So we'll start with the one which is there in the chat box. It's a very critical question. So Apratim Asthana is asking, Sir, you talked about well-paying jobs, but does artificial intelligence as a technology be a big roadblock for us in the near future as it curbs creativity? How can we make a roadmap for us to still be creative while competing with AI technology?
So I think it's a good question, right? But I would again request you to look at what AI has done. For example, we are doing AI, we are integrating AI in our products. Our teams are using AI when they are reaching out to customers. So it is helping us to solve at scale. So AI brings at scale. It brings that uniformity and modernization, right? But again, it is not a curb to a creativity. What do you mean by creativity? If you understand, creativity is the intelligent way of solving a problem, right? That is what I define creativity as such. When I think feet on street thinking is again a creativity that again no AI can do it. So still I said, when we reach out a customer through AI related tools and the AI related, for example, my team writes a lot to prospects, right, and create those prospects, and they've been started using AI based tools, right? But then at the end of the day, the language and the tone is what we decide, right? Second is when the customer says yes, he's not only buying or giving an appointment just because of what you have written, right? The actual journey starts from there when he says yes, let's have a discussion, and that's where I think human being angle can come in. So my request to you is AI in the past also, for example, we heard a lot about the new emerging technologies like Web 3.0 came in, right? So I think all these technologies have always been an enabler. They will create more high paying jobs. For example, the mundane jobs which used to happen earlier, I think that will go away. There is, I think chatbots are actually helping up to solve that issue for us. But beyond that, if I really look at a lot of value added work, which is happening at the end of the day, when I want to understand customer problems in a scale, when I want to understand, inquire about what actually is creating issue for a customer, that's where the human being would come in. So use how I think important for us is to know how to use AI and generative AI for sure in solving our day-to-day work, right? So again, don't be fearful about it. History is there with repeated examples of how technology has created and opened up newer avenues, right? For example, AI is helping us to solve some of the areas which we never thought about, right? Which technology it was not able to solve it, right? So this will open up newer avenues for sure. Which has happened. Just give like 6 months or year time, it will become like a day in and day out. Today, like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, all these guys are training their 6 lakh to 8 lakh people on generative AI, right? But they are not asking people to move. They're not replacing people with technology. What they are doing is they were taking more complex projects, right? They were not able to do it because of the challenge, the skill set issue that the team had, right? So just like try and learn about AI. and how you can integrate with your day-to-day schedule. It will help you to solve problems for sure at speed and efficiency. It will improve your productivity. You will have enough time for you to left over to possibly do other tasks, right? So I think that's how I take an AI. As I said in the previous question also, I'm not worried about AI at all. We are integrating our products. I think we are hiring more, in fact, because it is helping us to reach to the areas when we were not able to reach earlier. Our productivity is increased. We are getting more dollars in for the company. So I think that way it's an innovation. It's there in almost every industry. You're not hearing companies are not hiring because they're using AI. Companies are not hiring because there is a slowdown in certain industries, right? I think that's the way to look at it.
Perfectly, perfectly. Satish, when you are there in a fireside chat, uh, and we don't ask questions on LinkedIn, it is impossible. So I really have one question, and it's about an interview I saw with Jeff Weiner, I think a year back, a year and a half back. And it was a very simple question, but with a very introspective response. I really would like to know your thing. What is LinkedIn doing to the world today? We all know about the start. So it started with connecting people on the professional platform, but I think LinkedIn has come a long way from that today. Uh, so, what is LinkedIn trying to do with the world today? And how is it relevant for the youngsters?
See, LinkedIn will not leave you till the time you leave this world, right? So that is so from your first job, from like how will you earn your first job, right? You will obviously have to use this platform. Today we are 100 million members in India. We are 1 billion members across the globe. We just reached that milestone. Every 2 seconds, there is a job opportunity what people are getting through the platform of LinkedIn, right? So our mission and vision, as Jeff always used to say, that creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, right? So one foremost mission is to help people to find good jobs. Second is how do we develop them so that they earn better jobs and they increase their the paying capacity, right? The paying opportunity. So that's where our learning business comes in and learning opportunity comes in, right? So you don't go to LinkedIn only to hire jobs, right? Then if you're going to LinkedIn only to find jobs, then you are utilizing just 10% of potential. I think LinkedIn will help you to be to connect with people who are important, relevant, and also learn from them. There are a lot of content, self-generated content on leadership, on the problem solving, which happens to the platform, right? So it also depends on what kind of network you build in and how you're learning from your network. There are a lot of, you can reach out to anyone and everyone and ask for help, right? For example, Pradeep reached out to me on LinkedIn, right? I have never spoken to him over phone, but we've only been connected on this platform, and there are so many examples what LinkedIn is able to do with its members, right? For us, I think one thing which is still relevant to us, we are a member first company, right? And our mission and vision has always been to find value for members. I think very, very important and very basic human need any member have is to have a good job, right? And continuously learning, right? I think these are the two broader goals that every human being has. And that's where I think LinkedIn is playing a critical role. We are leaps and bounds ahead in especially in our space, in the professional networking space. And with the recently we have got a AI based tool which is called the coach, right? You can use that tool. It will help you to guide. It will help you to do courses which are important for you. It will help you to create a profile. There are so many things which is happening in this space, especially to enable people to earn more opportunity, right? So for sure, LinkedIn will play a very, very critical role in your life till that. Even if you want to do a business, it will also open to you with newer business opportunities, right? So any economic opportunity in the professional space, LinkedIn will play a very, very critical role and is playing a very, very critical role.
I think, with what you just said about the LinkedIn, we are getting some other questions about making one's LinkedIn profile more effective. I think you actually partly answered that question. So we have Divya who's asking, can you share most effective strategies for job seekers to optimize their LinkedIn profiles and increase visibility to recruiters? Is there anything you would like to add on to what you have already shared?
Yeah, so see, there's a difference between CV and profile, right? So you need to obviously create and there's a lot of content available on YouTube, and it's content available on internet, right? How to create a smart LinkedIn profile. So just create a LinkedIn profile. I would again ask you to think about, do analysis that what kind of industries that you want to get into, right? Create a list of those industries, create a list of so once you create a list, right, your journey will start there. I try following those companies on LinkedIn, because lot many companies, especially in the tech space, are very, very active on the platform. So you will get to know, because see, when you are going and talking to any interviewer, I think first basic thing is you should know about that organization, right? I think LinkedIn will help you to do that, because that's where you create your first impression. So just try following these companies, try following the leaders, senior leaders there, that what actually they are doing in the company, what they're doing to what's happening in that organization, right? And then the third step is identify the business leader there, right? So most of the times we actually go through talent acquisition space, right? So talent acquisition is again important, but talent acquisition is a supply organization, right? It's not a demand organization within any company. So you need to look at, okay, if you want to build a career in sales and if you want to work for XYZ company, you need to look at who are the right people in that company and reach out to them, maybe entry level account directors or account executives, right? And understand what's happening in the company, what it is needed to be a successful in your organization. Reach out to them, set up some discussion. There are a lot of good people who are there in the platform, right? That will help you out to possibly, get your next play, get your first play, right? And also, some of them could possibly become your mentors for your entire life, right? So that's, I think these are the some strong use cases any fresher can have on LinkedIn. Spend more time. So there is something very interesting, which is, I think you got to do your analysis, right, on the weekend. Just look at how you're passing your day and how much time you are investing and how much time you're spending, right? So every hour if you spend on LinkedIn, it will help you to be better your career, your job. I don't have anything against any other platform. That's the reason I don't want to name it, right? That's the reason I want you to do your self analysis of how much distracted you are. Some of us are, right? Especially the time that we spend on, and what kind of time where I spend, right? So if you spend every minute on LinkedIn, you will learn something, you will know something, and it will help you to be better in whatever aspirations you have for yourself, right? So a lot of ways and a lot of platforms which will help you to be more engaged, entertained, but eventually you will not get anything out of it. And I must tell you, the world is very, very competitive. As I said, you need to be the best version of yourself. You need to apply yourself harder. And these are the things where you can apply yourself harder. And these are the things where you can outshine with other people around you, right? That how much time it's a whatever you do, every small step becomes a there's something called daisy habits, right? If you read about James Clear, Atomic Habits, I would recommend again to read that book. Amazing, amazing book, especially all of you starting a career. This will help you to build a very, very strong value system and work ethics for yourself. He says something which is, even if you do, let's say, one thing today, and it can keep on compounding, right? And the power of consistency is just amazing. If you spend 1 hour on LinkedIn, 30 days down the line, you will be much more smarter, much more sensible, and much more aware about what's happening in the corporate space for sure, right? So invest time rather than spending time, right? I think that's my advice to all of you. It's a great platform, and once you start using it, you will get a lot many use cases. You will be very happy around it, right? And no one, I know today you all of you are more intelligent and smarter, right? You know how to make the use of the opportunity that you have. But before that, just try and spend time on the platform.
And I think LinkedIn today is an amazing mentor and a coach to everybody, whether you're a student or whether you're a CEO, an employee, or an entrepreneur. And I think
Yeah.
spending quality time and knowing the right way how to use the platform really gives you a lot in life. Um, I I'll shift a little bit, before
One
coming
important
to the rest. Sure, please go on. Yes, Satish.
Yes, sir. One important advice, which is I want to share with all of you, um, and take it or leave it. It's your call. But I just want to tell all of you, there is there is a lot of value in there is a concept called deep work, right? Whatever you do, if you don't involve yourself deeply, you will not be able to see success out of it, right? So my request to all of you is So very, very critical to invest in ourselves. So just invest in yourself, stay away from this and the value of deep work. Just understand this concept of deep work. I think you will get to know what I'm talking about, because these are very, very critical things which will help you to do well in your life and careers ahead.
You just hijacked my next question, Satish. I was just going to talk about Cal Newport. Because I got the book only after you referred this, on the platform. It's an amazing theory, and I think it applies to everybody, the young and the old, no matter what you do in life. So, students, I think I also advocate this. If you don't understand what we are talking about, get hold of the book, the soft copy or the hard copy. It's an amazing read. Deep Work by Cal Newport. Uh,
Yeah.
we are just about to complete the discussion, Satish, and Uh, just to sum it up, so we spoke about the emerging sectors, we spoke about the skill gap. Now, there's one question which has come in the group, which reads that when you speak about the skill gap, as students, who are about to enter the industry, so uh, are there industries or regions which experience more pronounced skill gap than the others? And do we really need to get ourselves ready for that? So when you're talking about emerging sectors, so is there an area-wise or industry-wise skill gap which is there and the students need to identify and then prepare themselves for it?
Yeah. So see, one thing, the fact is, I think India in last like few years, a lot of, so earlier as I said, IT and BFSI are still the biggest hirers of the fresher talent that any company has, right?
Mhm.
And just be banks are growing a lot. There's a lot of opportunities, especially in the banks. Banks are expanding. Indian banks are doing, private banks are doing extremely, extremely well, right? So there's a lot of demand for the entry level talent, right? Which is there. So I think basic skill set is, as I said, sales, customers, the attitude of being open to listen to the customer. I think those are the things, like so problem solving skill set, problem solving mindset, right? So you need to possibly think about what the stories that you have had in your internship, that how you're able to solve the problem. If you're doing internship, think about that, take some complex projects, right, which can help you to solve some problems, and you can narrate those stories, right? So if you're going into these kind of roles, I think these are the skill set which are needed, right? Even in tech entry level, there are a lot of opportunities in terms of, especially on the customer success and the sales front of it, right? So again, these kind of companies actually look at feet on street thinking, creative problem solving, teamwork, coordination, collaboration. How do you work in a team is one of the most underrated things, right? But if you have a success story, when you have enabled anyone around you to be successful, we are not looking, see, corporate world doesn't look for superstars, right? Corporate world looks for stars who can make other people superstars, so, and who can enable other people to be stars, right, in their own world. I think that is what we look at. We don't look at individual superstars. Once in a while is okay, right? But we look at people who can come and create a very congenial atmosphere in the team. So teamwork, collaboration, coordination, collaboration are one of the most important softer skill sets that we need in today's world, right? How can I come and create more positive atmosphere, right? How can I bring smiles to people? How can I, and this mindset help us to undeter of any challenges which comes your way, right? So I think these are the skill set which are very, very important from ID and BFSI, and especially there's a lot of activity happening in the space around, in the, again, the technology, which is like the GCC space, right? So beyond GCC, again, retail, travel, tourism, these are the industries which look at. So when I map the MBA and your kind of talent, you will have enough opportunities, especially in these kind of functions: sales, customer success, customer, customer success is like a very, very big vertical, right? So I think there will be a lot of opportunity because these are the companies. You cannot be a coder if you are obviously from tech. Obviously, you can begin coding right there, right? But non-tech background, I think these are the skill set that would be required, especially, and there are enough jobs, as I said, because of so much of buy-ins in the economy, right? But again, you need to be very important, in thinking about uh, which industry that you want to get into and your first job, right? And which function you want to get into. Just be thoughtful about it. I think that will help you to and be authentic. If you can never be 100% prepared and get into interview for sure. It will never happen and it will never happen in future. So just be confident about. So once we, for example, when we don't hire freshers, right? But whenever we look at any, in my own experience, we don't look at people who are ready made, right? We look at people who have a very curious mindset, right? Who come with there's a concept of Chinese slate, right? Which is like, I can write anything on that slate, but what we need is that optimism, that attitude, that resilience, the mindset to work in a team, the mindset to solve change and scale, the attitude to do well for himself. I think the eager, the fire, the curiosity, I think these are the skill sets, softer skill set that we look at. We don't want 100% ready-made product, right? For sure. I think no one in industry is looking at, because we even don't know what will happen function 2 years down the line, who is able to adopt himself easily, with every passing 2 years, right? So these are the certain attributes that we can look at. So you need to, what I would request you is, think about, go on Google and you can Google about that, what are the top 10 interview questions, right? Prepare yourself well for those top 10 interview questions, and 99% of times you will be asked the same set of questions. Wordings could be changed, right? For example, what are your strength and weakness? Now, what is something which you are proud of, right? What are something which you have done to do something well for the business or in your internship, right? But once you're answering these questions, I think there is a trick there. So giving interviews also an art, right? There is a technique called STAR, which is called situation, task, action, and result, right? So you need to think about the story, right? What is your story? What is the problem? I'm not looking at data. I will not remember the data also. What I'll remember is the story, the problem that you solved. So let me ask all of you one question. You can ping in the chat, right? Who is the director of Barbie? All right, any guesses? Barbie, the recent very, very successful movie, which was multi-grosser in India. Anyone in the chat? Okay. So we don't know the director's name, right? But we remember the movie. The director's name is Greta Gerwig, right? She's a 30-year-old. She's the first time director. She's done excellent, like one of the biggest, highest grosser. The reason I'm saying this, when you get into